Today I'd like to share with you about the basic of the power generation, power handling of the Yik KAM SLT JIN. Okay. Now, first we want to go through the engine, and then I'll show you what is the brief applications on this engine, how it related together. Okay. Now, we talk about the body type of power generations and the force line type of power generations. So, practically, the power type, the body type of the power generations is when you want to punch and a strike, you throw your body, meaning that you have this the muscle power and the body power. You throw the body, with your weight and so forth. So you punch up, you strike up. As for the line type of power generations, the line types is actually using the action and reaction force. Instead of throwing the body up, you get the force back to the ground, down to the ground, and up to shoot up. So, for example, okay, instead of this, is this. Okay. So that is the power, body type and the force line type. Now, for the body type, you tense up your body. The whole thing is like a piece. You have a structure. You jam the whole thing in. Okay, that is the body type. As for the force line type, we need to know a certain thing about force line type. Force line type meaning that it doesn't deal with tensing. It is actually in a loose situations. So there's two things you need to know about in the force line type of engine, and that is the force flow, or we call it the Jin flow in the body, and the Jin path. Okay, or you can look at it as the pathway of the force going through your body, and the flow of the force going through your body. Okay, so again, for the body type, you tense up your body, you hold on your body, you slam it. Okay, and for the force line type is it actually find or take the path of the force, okay, and have a force flow in that path. Okay, so the body is not in a rigid or tensing up and everything smashed up or crushed in situation. It's not. It is using this force line and force flow, the force path, action and reaction force. Okay, so let's talk about the force path. Okay, or the Jin path. Okay, normally we call it the Jin path because the Jin is a change of the force. Okay, force is just the source. Okay, so force is static or stationary, and Jin is the change of the force or the flow of the force. Okay, so here on I want to use the term Jin flow and Jin path. Okay. So say if I want to resist something, if I'm using a body type power generation, I tense up my whole body, I just tense it up, make it solid, one piece, so I can sustain or resist a certain thing. That's the idea of the body type. Okay, a general way of describing it. As for the force line type, it is under the loose situations, the body is loose, non-tensing situations. It has a pathway of this force coming in from the contact point to going down to the ground. a pathway, okay, and that pathway need to be trained. So it is not about tensing the whole thing, but you have to train that pathway, okay, and the force going through their pathway, which is the Jing flow through their pathway. So now you have the Jing path and the Jing flow, okay. So take an example for the people push you. If you're using the body type, you just tense up the whole body, make yourself solid. You resist it, okay, and using your muscular power and so forth. As for the Jing path, the force line type of power generations, if people push you, then you just at the contact point you align his force into your Jing path, and thus have a Jing flow within your body, and you play with that action force and going to the ground, and then the reaction force out from the ground. Okay, so this is how these two different engine works. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so you have a body type of power generations, and you have the force line type of power generations. So you know that one is using the strong muscle to take the force to resist, to sustain. Another one is using the force or the Jing path in your body and playing with the Jing flow. Okay, now that because of this different engine, okay, in the Chinese system, Chinese martial art system, it generally become two type of art. One is what we call the external art, which is the body type, okay, and the other one is as what we call the internal art, which is the force line type. Okay. Again, I want to mention here it's nothing to do with who's the best fighter, who's doing fighting better, who can kill anybody. No, it is different type of engine, different type of technology. Okay. Now, because of it is a different type of engine, okay, it will be applied differently. Okay. Because engine is different, so you if you are a motorcycle engine, and if you have this motorboat ski engine, then there's a different type of applications you're using it. Okay. Now in Yik KAM SLT JIN, we know that it is a force line type of power generations, and so the question is, so how do you train this kind of thing? How do you develop it? Okay, okay. So that is where the snake and crane coming in. Okay. The crane is usually we talk about inch power. Okay, which is the joint power. The snake is you can look at that as the continuous of linking of the joint one by one. Okay. So let me do an example for you. Say, for example, I got a force pushed into me this way. Okay. So the force line type is, first I need to develop the path. Okay, which meaning from here, each joint, every joint is to the ground is my Jing path. Okay. So I don't have to tense my body or strongly and solid and rigid, but I align the joints, okay, which is the bolts, the 6 bolts, okay, from the wrist down to the sword, okay. So, okay. However, there's another term inside there, which is called jin flow, right? So it is just not just align it. It is actually have a time delay from every joint. Okay. So when the jin flow into the body, it is flow from this part, this part, this part, this part. It going down for every every joint, every bone. It has a flow. It's like the force, or the force is actually moving. The jin is actually flowing. Okay. So in the Yik KAM SLT JIN, the way how to develop that is if you notice the BUG, okay, the BUG stuff. This is the thing which is the training. Okay, train it going backward. So joint by joint, you're going down and going up. Okay. So if we look at in terms of Wing Chun, we always have this sub-G sound, okay, or BUG, or this type of stuff. This is all the technology to train or to develop the force line type of power generations. Okay. So in other words, that it first has to identify the force, the jin path, and then it make it fluent with the jin path, and then it start to handle the jin flow. Okay, so when we're doing this, it's not just you do this. Okay, it actually has a meaning, has significance inside the body. Okay, so in other words, that the jin going through the path down and then going through the path up. Okay, so that is the Yik KAM Wing Chun way, or Yik KAM SLT JIN way of develop this type of power generations. 1 second. Okay, so hopefully I make it clear that about the jin, the force line type of power generations, and the body type power generations, and within the force line type, you need to develop the jin path and jin flow. So in Wing Chun, when we do Qi sound, actually we are playing with the jin path and the jin flow. Okay, it is not just the hand techniques, but it's playing with the jin path and jin flow. Now, because of this using of this jin path and jin flow, like for example, we take the first sections of the Yik KAM SLT JIN, sorry, first part of the Yik KAM SLT JIN, which is equal to everybody's other variable Wing Chun lineage of the SLT JIN. Okay, so you can look at that is that form actually is training, like turn one into a coil spring. Okay, a coil spring. So it is train the jin path and jin flow. So I turn myself the coil spring, and this is one end of the spring, and my saw is another end of the spring. So whatever I do, I'm actually training those kinds of engine, or develop those kind of engine. Okay, now, and say so if you think about the model it as like a coil spring. Okay, now, and in the second, third, and the fourth part of the Yik KAM SLT JIN, then on top of this spring, this coil spring, it expand the coil spring into like a double helix shape. Okay. So if you think about it, okay, if there's an axle from top of my head down, for the SLT JIN it's like coil spring. Okay, so you have the jin path and the jin flow like coil spring, in the Changkyubyuji, or the higher part of the Yik KAM SLT JIN, it become not only a spring coil, but now it's a double helix, because it's not involved in the spiraling, okay, or rotating, okay. Now what do you call a barrier for that? So it's like, if you look at it like a double helix of the DNA shape, okay. So that is how it handles the Jin path and the Jin flow, okay. So one is the what do you call it, the coil spring. It's still, you have a Jin path and Jin flow, like in a circular way, and the double helix is on top of that thing. It has a spiral type double helix type of thing. So the reason I call it double helix is because you can look at that as in the double helix, one helix is the reaction force, another helix is the action force. Okay, so in the Yik KAM SLT JIN, these two type of thing is continuous train. Okay, not developing those body type of power generation, because it is a different type of engine. Okay, and that is the body of the engine of the Yik KAM SLT JIN. Now, because of this engine, two general applications is used in the art of Yik KAM SLT JIN. Okay, first is, in Chinese we call it 借力打力, or borrow force to strike out force. Okay, the second one is called 以力破力, or using force to break force. So this is a two-type application, which is in the Yik KAM Ying Chen, okay, Yik KAM SLT JIN. Now, this is important, okay, because of this engine, we have these two type of applications, or the core of, or the basic of how to use force in the Yik KAM SLT JIN. And of course, as we in my sharing the other day, that this is a closed body type of engine, okay, compared with other different type. Okay, so first we talk about, so what is the 借力打力, borrow force to strike out force? Okay, a very simple thing. Actually this is happen in all the Wing Chun, and this is very critical. Okay, say I have people give me a punch. Okay, a punch. Okay, a punch. Okay, throw me a punch, right? If I want to, using my hand, which is in Yik KAM we call it Kam Sao. In other lineage, sometimes we call it Pak Sao or something, but this is, in Yik KAM we don't call it Pak Sao, because Pak Sao has a different meaning. So we call it Kam Sao. Okay, so you can think about it as equal in other lineage, like a Pak Sao. So you take the force, okay, and actually you send another force back. Okay, so let me make it clear again. It's easier to understand this way. If I am a coil spring, something pushed on my hand, okay, automatically I have a reaction force go back to that place. Okay, so that is 借力打力, borrow force to strike force. So okay, yeah, borrow force to strike force. So when the force comes, like imagine I'm a spring, okay. The force comes because I'm using my force path and my force flow. I turn into like a spring. It push, the impact going into my hand. The push into my hand. Okay, and I going down to the ground and I come up, so my body behave, you know, at this point, at the contact point, at the contact point of the hand, I behave like he's touching her coil spring. Okay, so when his punch come in, there's a force going back there. Okay, so this is very different from the body type. The body type will be tense up my body, rush in front for it. Okay, so that is the body type. As for the force line type, no, you just take it. Okay, so one of the accurate way of looking at that is, if I using a body type, will be tense up using my force, resist it or against it. In the body type, there's the body type. In the force line type, will not go moving in. Okay, going down and let it shoot up. And of course, when we talk about borrow force to strike force, meaning that this force vector or this Jin path, when I return the reaction Jin path, the reaction Jin, it will target to his center line, because taking his route to come out, you make use of it, because when he strike you, when he throw a punch at you, you take the force and then using the force to bounce back. So he is like punching into a spring, a spring coil. Okay, like for example, you put a spring coil on the wall, you punch it and see how, if the spring is really hard spring, how it bounces you. Okay, and of course human is a different, really different from that. Be able to direct that pin the center line. Okay, now another thing is that usually people are using is this punch out. Right, this punch out. When the punch come out, this punch out. It also direct the force, the force flow or the Jin flow back toward his center line. Okay, or his body. So okay, so this is what normally in Wing Chun, when we call it about pressure, put pressure to the forward pressure. In the Yik KAM, it's actually not a forward pressure. Actually, you don't want to put a continuous put a forward pressure. You just take his force and let the reaction force hit him. So you borrow his action force. You just direct the reaction force to him. So that is called 借力打力. Okay. So as in the white crane, you say 中宫不让. I will never give up my middle door, my center door. Okay. That's the white crane. Okay. For the Wing Chun, we don't give up the middle door. Okay, and we doing the 借力打力. Okay, using force to strike force, or borrow force to strike force. Okay, so you can see that we usually, instead of just in the center line, because I do not want to give up my center line, go punch you brute force, or using power to conquer, to crush in. You angle it, or you play with the force, the force vector or the force flow, using force to strike force, or borrow force to strike force. Okay, so in Wing Chun, in Yik KAM Wing Chun, we actually using that to pressure, or to pressure the bridge, pressure the stance, pressure the middle door or the center line. Okay, so this is one way of the Yik KAM Wing Chun using it in terms of this type of Jin. So instead of you just block the whole thing, it usually go with this 借力打力, using force to strike out force in the contact, instead of the normally non-clean, the blocking or the playing with the hand stuff. Okay, so that is the using or borrowing force to strike force. Now, your Tan Sao is using that, your Bong Sao is using that. Okay, and as you see that for the tensile, I can direct or just like the cylinder train the coil spring type, and as for the bongsao, I can use the double helix. Okay, so there's a difference for that. Okay, now there is one thing. Now the second thing is to deal with force is using force to break force. So what is the break force or breaking out force mean? Breaking out force meaning that when the force is too big coming in, you want to redirect it, or you want to decrease it, or you want to cancel it. An example for that, for this second concept of breaking force is paksao. Okay. Now, pak is cancellations. Okay. So I want to make something clear here. In Yik KAM Wing Chun, normally this is called kam, and kam can be many things, and can be many things. Okay. As the example, the first example on the use force, the strike force. But at the contact, I can take the force and then shoot eject the reaction force back. That is, externally you look like a kam sao too. You can call it kam, okay? And pak sao is like a kam too, right? But the way of using the force is different. The first is you take it and then you inject. You borrow the force and you inject the force back to its center line. Okay. The second one is you just dissipate it here, up here. You dissipate it or cancel it. Okay. So again, the first one is actually a full body, a big jin. Okay, big jin, full body jin. The small one is the second one is a small jin. The paksao, this. Okay, and the local is a localizing. Okay, so a lot of time it get very confused is because in Yik KAM now at the end it summarizes the whole thing into hin, kam, kyu, ta, right? 4 cycle. So in the kam people will talk about kam, but kam can be so many things. Okay, depend on what is the force or the jin application content inside the kam. Okay, so the X is beyond the external shape already. Okay, so in for this using force to breaking force, you can have the hunsao. Okay, hunsao. Okay, using the circular type to just divert his force away, or you can use the gongsao. Okay, which is if the force coming in, you break it up. Okay, you split the force. Okay, so this is all the breaking force type of concept. Okay, so first we have we have the borrow force to strike force concept, and then we have the using force to break force or break out force concept. Okay, so that is where the jin play of the Yik KAM cylinder come in, where the example as what I just showed. This one, the hand shape is no longer decide what it is, but the jin of what that physical move, or the jin within the physical move, which is making making the choice of what type of thing is that. Okay, so in the Yik KAM is the idea is at the end it's only the hin, kam, kyu, tap, and it just turn it so small cycle, and then the point is that whether you're doing a pinning, you using force to strike force, or you using force to break force. So you play with that. Okay, that is where the inching coming into a picture because we say that the human body, the move of the physical is too big. So if you want to have advantage in time and space, then per contact point you need to change your jin, change different type of jin, and to get different type of result. Okay, now if you go back to the force line type of power generations and the body of type of power generation, then you notice that this using force, borrow force to strike force, and using force to break out force will works only if it is the force line type of power generations, where the body type will not be able to take that because the body type has to be tensile and rigid, and in the force line type is always on the move and loose. What it carries is only the force, the jin flow and the jin path. Okay, so that is how it is. Okay, and if we train in the Yik KAM SLT JIN 1850 right boat, then this got to be trained. Without this, then it's not Wing Chun, but according to the King Chun. Okay, so that is what I want to share with you today. Hopefully, I make this thing clear with you. And again, I like to treat this as just an art, a technology, not to do with fighting and this and that. So this is what I call the Jin layer in the Yik KAM transform. Okay, so let me talk to you a little bit about the Yik KAM transform. The first drill in the transform, the standing still, is actually to let you know your spring. Okay, so to develop the spring. So whether you know about the spring or not, the spring is there. The second of the Yik KAM transform drill is developing the coil spring, loading, unloading. The third one, the third drill, that is for develop the double helix coil spring. And the last one is actually develop, emphasize on the lower three balls of both the coil spring and the double helix type. Okay, so that is why it is important. Okay, so you don't have to do anything about all this jin and so forth, but if you do the drill, because the body is conditioned that way, so when you take force, you know what to do with it. Okay, otherwise we're still doing we can practice the SLT JIN, and then we just still, when you punch, you just punch this way, and people do a lap sao, you get lapped away. Why? Because you throw your body into it. And as for the Yik KAM Wing Chun, the SLT JIN way is not. You don't throw the body in it. Okay, it's using the force line. Okay, so hopefully that's clear with you for you. Thank you.